Hollie's Hotspurs, welcome back. Talking Tottenham every week, no better place to be sat. If it's a win, lose, draw, we'll be here for a chat. Best believe we tackle topics like Romero at the back. Young Min Son, what can go wrong when he's on form? It's a dream come true, so sit.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Hollie Hotspurs Live. We are finally back after an international break and we actually have a win to talk about and obviously a relegation party for Southampton as Tottenham beaten 3-1 at the weekend. And with me tonight, so I set it all and more, I'm joined by two fabulous guests. First of all, Christina, it's amazing to have you back on the show. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Am I mute? Just checking.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay, good. Sorry, I don't know how to use this one. I'm good. Yeah, all good. Yesterday, was absolutely amazing. Sure, we're going to talk about it, but the protest, it was really good turnout. Very happy. The whole group is kicking, like my group chat as we speak is kicking off right now because we're just trying to get new ideas and just what is next now. We're all very happy and very good turnout. So thank you to everyone that did turn out, especially you, Hollie. I know you were there. George, can't say much. Don't know where you were, but yeah.
I was actually in Hollie's Ends. I was in Portsmouth.
Oh, there we go.
I got there 10 minutes before kickoff, which is just
bad excuse. Not having that.
I'm sorry.
No, it was a good turnout. Obviously, a win as well that we're going to dissect too. And George, it's great to have you here as well. How are you?
Yeah, always good to be back. Thanks for having me on. Obviously, I think everyone's mood is a bit better when we get a decent result, even though we should get a result. But I'm sure we'll get into it soon. The turnout yesterday seemed incredible from what I saw on the on social. So yeah, well done to everyone that was involved.
No, defo. I'd like to say, obviously, we have got that win to dissect. And welcome to everybody that's joining, that's tuning in live, that's watching this now, that's going to go back and rewatch it. Make sure you get involved in the comments as well, and we can have a big old discussion. But obviously, it was a relegation party for Southampton. And Christina, I know you've mentioned it a little bit, but what obviously did you make of the process? Because I know there's a lot going on behind the scenes with you guys and obviously CFT, but it was a great turnout. And what did you kind of make of it?
Yeah, I was really happy. I think it was more that it actually looked a lot better than the last one because we had more ideas of the banners, we had flags, we had stickers, like people were wearing yellow shirts because it's just turned out that's now the colour of the protest. So everyone just came in. It was like a whole yellow army. It was amazing. And I just thought, with the pictures and the videos, it looked incredible. And it was a really good turnout. From what we heard, I think it was roughly about 3K people that turned up. So it was really good. And then obviously we started at Lordship Lane and then we walked down towards the West Stand. And it was, when I first got there, I saw that Tottenham had put the barriers up. And in actual fact, they did us a favour because basically when we got to the West Stand, that's where we just went and stood and we held up our banners there and everything. And they did us a huge favour. And then all the chants and everything was just great. There was one about Beyonce, like all the Kulizeski one. You've all heard it. It was really good. And we were so happy and it was peaceful. There was no problems at all. And I just hope that now we can continue it and we'll see what happens in the next one.
Definitely. I think that's the thing. I think the momentum building from it, George, isn't it? And I think it's great to see that if you do feel this way about the club, you can come and do it in a peaceful and meaningful way.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's the sort of way to go about it, isn't it? I mean, I think like if it was a bit more, what's the word? Like I don't know, like chaotic or a bit more. I don't know what the right word is, but like I think it gives a reason for them to want to shut it down more. Whereas I think you guys have approached it the right way, and it seems to be like you said, you can tell it's being heard because they put up the barriers to try and stop it this time around. So, yeah, man, I think the voices seem to be getting louder, which is always a good thing, especially since things don't seem to be improving on the pitch, only off the pitch. So, yeah, well done to everyone involved.
No, cracking stuff. And obviously look forward and keep following everybody on socials just to see what's planned for next. But we'll get into the game because obviously, Christina, like we've kind of mentioned tonight, it was actually nice to have a win to actually feel happy about for once. What was your kind of take, obviously, on the game?
There was... it was a win, like you said, and it was nice to see a few goals. It was nice to see Brennan get 2 goals in. I got a lot of love for Brennan. And Tell obviously got his first Premier League goal. But the whole game itself was pretty dry. It was pretty boring. It was just, there was not much to really discuss on it. I honestly, like, if I'm being completely honest. But, 3 points, we got Southampton relegated. Beauty of that was obviously Ramsdale's place for Southampton. So we gave him a hell of a lot of abuse behind the goal, which was great. And he's relegated now. So, yeah. It was just very dry and lifeless football, I felt. And, at the end of the day, it was only Southampton. So the big game that is coming up, I'm sure that was why a lot of the players were on the bench. So yeah, that's going to be the big one, which is going to be on Thursday, of course. So hopefully we'll get a win for that as well. That's what we've got to do, get the momentum and finish the season as quickly as possible.
I think that's the thing, because obviously, like you said, it was quite dry and boring at times, George. But I kind of had visions of, if we did draw this game or lose this game, God forbid, how things would have ended up.
This fan base can get toxic at times. I think if we didn't beat Southampton, especially with the state that they're in, it would have gone to a whole nother level. But thankfully, we don't have to worry about that or think about that, which is good. Yeah, for me, I echo the same sort of points. I think, to be honest, the first half we just seemed a bit more in control than we have done in other games. But the second half was just like you said, just complete drab. I think you can almost tell that the players were resting themselves for Thursday, because everything was just a slow sideways pass. There wasn't really any sort of fast breaks forward. The main thing that I just I wanted to see more of in the game was just trying to get Solanke involved. I feel like he was the main person that sort of, I don't know, I know in Nanji's system, the striker gets the least amount of touches. We kind of knew that going into it. But the idea is the wingers are supposed to service him, that he's still on the end of crosses to be able to tap them in. And I feel like we just haven't seen that with him for a while. And I don't think that's necessarily anything against him specifically. Like we've seen in previous games and at the start of the season, he was the one that was putting in the work, closing the defenders down, winning the ball back for us to get goals. It just feels like the last couple of weeks or few weeks or so, he's just not really actually been involved that much in play. So he was someone I wanted to get more involved. But apart from that, yeah, it just seemed like the players were just kind of really seeing out the game. And we very nearly threw at the end, like in typical Spurs fashion. But luckily we got the penalty to sort of put that to bed. But yeah, other than that, I mean, look, it's Southampton. I don't really have too many complaints. We just needed to get through with a win and go into Thursday with a bit more positivity. And like you said, for Brennan Johnson, someone who, in my opinion, is very, very low on confidence, I think needed those 2 goals to sort of really still make the statement that he should be involved in the first team. So yeah, it's just okay. Like it was just a result that was expected, result that we got. Move on to the bigger game on Thursday.
The saying, true Spurs fashion, I'm never expecting Spurs to actually go and do something that we need them to do. So it was actually quite nice that we did manage to do it. And obviously, going back to Johnson, Christina, with that first goal, obviously within 13 minutes, it was kind of like a Spurs goal that we've needed to happen for a while, because obviously Spence was involved, Sonny was involved. You saw that cut back, and then Johnson put it in the top of the corner. I mean, it was one of those goals that we've been wanting to happen for a very long time.
Yeah, it was just the whole play of it, the build up of the goal, because I mean, most of our goals this season have been pretty just not that exciting. I get, which is basically the whole of our football right at this season. But no, it was so good to see that, and I feel like it was good for Brennan as well. Build up his confidence a lot more, because that guy's had a lot of criticism, and it's funny enough, he's actually our top scorer as well. I think he's on 11 goals for Premier League, I believe. I'm not quite sure if that is 100% true, but yeah. So I've rated Brennan, and I generally do think, even if not to criticise Ange, but I feel if there is a new manager that comes in with a new system, I do think he will come out even better, Brennan, because I do think he's got a huge amount of potential. He's a young kid, and he was put in so much pressure as soon as he got signed up. He was thrown to the deep end without a doubt, and he's just had a lot of criticism now, and it's just not good to do that to your own player, especially from your own fans. It's just not the greatest thing. So good for him, and hopefully this will be something we'll see. Well, hopefully next season we'll see an even better Brennan.
And I think as well, because obviously, when you spoke about the 11 goals, I think it's 35 goal contributions in terms of assists and goals, George. And I don't know what it's for me, because I've probably been a little bit criticism of him. But I think it's, again, like Christina said, in the way Ange kind of plays the system. But I don't think he's typically your normal out-and-out winger in a sense. He doesn't normally like to take on a player. He just pops up in the box now and again.
Yeah, I think that's the thing for me as well. I would say it's more frustration than anything, because again, it's probably to do with our style of play, in the sense that when you look at Ange's previous teams, and I guess how we tried to set up at the beginning under him, the wingers are so paramount into creating chances. Like, they've got to be really good at taking on their defender, whether it's inside or outside, and then putting a cross into the box to the striker, which is what he basically just did throughout the whole of Celtic. He had Jota on one side. I can't remember who was playing on the other, but they basically just all fed into Kyogo in the middle. And we just didn't really do that, or haven't really adapted that way. And I don't necessarily think that's the strongest part of Johnson's game. That's the bit that's frustrating for me, is it doesn't seem like he can necessarily take on a defender well. But what he can do is arrive in the box at the exact right time, like on the spot, which he's effectively doing what Kyogo did for Celtic under Ange. Whereas that's why maybe it's a bit of a detriment to Solanke, because he's not necessarily on the end of those either. But again, like you said, like, he was thrown into the deep end because I don't think he was ever meant to be signed as like the starting right winger of this team when we first brought him in. I do. We obviously paid an inflated fee, but that's mainly because, it's a Premier League team, homegrown, like, young player. He's always going to cost a lot of money. I think he was always supposed to be a bit of an understudy to maybe Kulusevski in the beginning, but because of a few injuries that we had, he basically was thrown into the first team, and maybe that's sort of why he's getting a lot more flack, because now everyone is seeing him as this. No, he is the starting right winger, and he's not proving it in most games. But yeah, no, what he does do brilliantly. Like, he goes into the right places. He finishes pretty much all the chances he has. I just think there's probably maybe a little bit more he can work on in his game when it comes to being able to take on defenders, and he would be an all-round great winger. But then again, I don't know, is that down to the coaching? Is that down to him being playing that way? That's where I'm not too sure. And maybe it's a case of when you play Son and Johnson, typically this season, Son's also not been very good at taking on his defender. So maybe if Son can't take on his defender, how can Johnson be on the end to get more goals, and vice versa? So I don't know. There's definitely a player in there. I think there's just something we need to tweak in this team to really get the best out of him.
Definitely. And I think that's what you said, when you've got someone like Son that's been there, done it, that can't actually beat his man at times anymore. It's like, where's he kind of learning his trade from? If someone like Sonny isn't being able to do that at the minute. But obviously he did manage to get the second as well. And Christina, it was a lovely little flick. I think it was from the outside of his boot that kind of went into the back of the goal, wasn't it?
It was, It was like a nice little tap. I was right there because I was right behind the goal when it happened. And it happened actually so quickly as well. I wasn't even sure if it was Brendan that got it or was it an own goal. But it was, looking back at it, it was great from him. And like George said, he was just bang right there in the middle, perfect opportunity, and he just got it right in there. And that's what I love about him. My other frustration, I will say, with Brendan is he doesn't use his pace as much as he should. He's got it, and I feel like Tottenham have been craving to have like a fast player. We used to have like Aaron Lennon. We saw what we could do when we had, Gareth Bale. The amount of speed that we could do, and it was so exciting to watch. But Brennan, you've got this. Use it. I don't know why you don't. It's just so frustrating when he's on the wing and he's got the ball. He just always ends up stopping it, and I feel like, I don't know if that is a Brennan situation, a Brennan issue, or is it just the way that the Ange ball, the way that it's played? I don't know. But that's one of my frustrations with Brennan. And I just feel if he can start to use that and pace up and, become that winger where he can really go forward with the ball and challenge other players, he could be a superstar. I really do. And he's got so much time to do this now. Like I said, he's a young player. There's a lot of opportunity for him now. And I just hope to see that next season. I really do. So, yeah.
I think that's the thing, because I think I kind of forget how young Brennan is, and I think a lot of us kind of do, in a sense. Again, it's because we've had all these injuries, we've had to force players to play early, and maybe if we embedded them in a little bit more, we wouldn't be having these conversations of can he do that, will he do it, because he'd already be embedded in. But talking about young players as well, George, obviously it was a bit gutting, because I generally thought Bergvall scored his first goal in the Premier League this weekend, but obviously VAR lifts its head up, and then boom, rules it out for offside. What did you kind of make of everything?
Oh, well, I don't even know where to begin with that whole situation. First of all, I've got to give massive props to Romero. One, because obviously he technically would have got the assist. But two, he had like 3 headed shots on target before that. So he was gunning for it at the beginning of that game. So he put Burba in the position to potentially get the goal. But that whole VAR situation, I think, was such a mess because I've looked at it back and I've looked at the line they've drawn on Romero. And like, the dotted line they put down, it was at like an angle like this. I don't know how they've come to the conclusion that where it ended up being. So that was one slight issue. But the other main thing for me is it took, I think someone said it was 4 minutes and 56 seconds it was to like get to decision. Especially when you think of something like offside, it's quite literally a black and white rule. Like it can't be that in place to draw the lines or whatever it may be. And I mean, the semi-automated offsides can't come soon enough because there's just simply no way it can take 5 minutes to come to that decision. And I think it's similarly on Thursday with Chelsea. I thought they were hard done by on their one as well, because when you look at it back, you just can't see clearly where the player is to draw that line properly to say whether he was onside or not. And I personally feel like if it's taking you that long to get a decision, there's got to be a cutoff point. I don't know whether you said it at like a minute, 2 minutes, whatever it is, maybe depending on what.
It kills the game.
It's awful, man. Because I was there celebrating, and I didn't really celebrate heavily for the other goals because it's Southampton. But like you say, because it was Bournemouth getting his goal, you're really happy for him. You're standing there celebrating, and then you got to wait 5 minutes, and you're just stopping. Like, oh, do I go? No, wait. Do I go again? And then it kills the next goal. We score another goal, and you're thinking, well, do I even celebrate this one? Because you don't know if it's going to get disallowed either. So they've got to set some sort of time limit on these decisions, because it's ruining football from a fan's perspective.
Well, it's like, I just think if it's affecting us, the fans, imagine how it must be affecting the players as well.
Yeah.
Like you just don't want to go and get a goal after that.
No, exactly. And I also think as well, it has got a small part to play in why there's a lot more injuries going on. Like there's no coincidence that all of a sudden with the introduction of VAR in its like form that it is, where it's taken 5 minutes per decision, and players, it might seem a bit arbitrary, but players at the elite level, if they're not moving for 5 minutes, that makes a big difference to how they function on the pitch with like their muscles and how they've been training. And I think if you've just constantly got that throughout the match, it's going to impact them. And we've seen way more injuries this year, especially hamstring injuries compared to previous seasons. So yeah, I think they need to fine tune it somehow. And I do think the semi-automated will help, because it's worked so well in like the European competitions and the Euros in the summer, just to speed it up. Because like I said, when it's something black and white like offsides, like the decision's got to be done quickly. Get on with it. Get on with the game.
Defo, 100%. And if there's something already out there with semi-automated offsides, because like you said, it worked perfectly in other leagues and in the Euros. So why not implement it in the best league, obviously, in the world?
It was supposed to be here in November, and they just kept on pushing it back and back and back. And now we're getting it for the last like 7 games of the season, 6 games. It's weird.
It is weird. This is me being conspiracy theories and saying I think they still keep VAR the way it is, just because then we're talking about it every week, or there's something to talk about on a podcast, or there's something to talk about on TalkSport, or things like that, because that is the thing that everybody talks about all the
Conversation,
time.
It's a debate. It creates a whole debate. I personally, I understand VAR, but it's so poorly done. We can't be continuing how bad it is. Just stop it completely, sort it out, and then try again when you get when you get it all sorted, because it's just completely taken over the game now, and it's ruining the atmosphere. It's like you said, it's the fans as well. But if it's doing it to the fans, let alone the actual players themselves, I can't even imagine. So it's just, they really need to sort it out big time. It's just an absolute pain.
Yeah, and that's one thing where like when you brush like tactics or whatever aside, I feel like surely everyone agrees with everything that Ange's saying when it comes to his decisions. There's no way we can just let everything just like be run by the computer. 2, just the decisions taking too long. It's just like the game's got to be in the referee's hands. Otherwise, what's the point in even having a referee in the first place?
Defo, 100%. And that kind of moves me on, because obviously I think Ange was talking about how he was playing rock, paper, scissors with himself while this was kind of going on. And don't get me wrong, Christina, like the stuff Ange says sometimes do make me giggle. And obviously I know there was a bit of controversy against Chelsea in terms of cupping his ear to the fans and etc, etc. But for me, where are you still with? Are you still with Ange at the moment? Are you fully gone with Ange? Where are you kind of sitting at the moment?
I'm like in the air. Because Look, I'll be honest. I said from day one, like I love Ange. I still do. I think he's a great person. I think he's a great manager. I really do. But the way that he does set it up, the way he is the whole of his football, it's just not set up for the Premier League. And I wanted to give him the chance. We've had a huge, with the injury crisis that we've had this season. I felt, no, wait, see what he can do when they come back. They've come back and it's the same thing. It's the same results. It's the same play. And now I can make that decision and be like, yeah, it's not working. So for me, I don't want to criticize and, say like, I hate Ange. I don't hate him. I generally, whatever he does, I wish him the best. I truly do. But to me, the Premier League is so advanced now and it is moving rapidly. You can't stick to one plan. You've got to go with it. You truly do. And it goes for even other managers. Premier League is just so advanced. It's insane how quickly it's going. So for me, it's just not good. And even with the injuries, you can see like way of Ange's play, it's not helped. So obviously on Chelsea as well, I feel his behaviour was not great. And if you're doing that towards the away fans themselves, who, these are the away fans that are diehard, they're the hardcore ones. I'm not even part of that. These guys, they spend so much money travelling up and down the country to go and see Tottenham play. You cannot be doing that and being disrespectful to the away fans for sure. But, and the thing is, all he could have done was afterwards, he could have just literally apologised and said it straight and then moved on. But instead, he had to go on and make out, it was nothing to do with that. Just admit it was just too obvious. You're a professional manager in the Premier League. Like, people make mistakes. You are human, and yeah, that it would have come across a lot better if he did that. But I can understand now why a lot of our fans are very frustrated with him and are sitting back and just waiting for him to go now, which I'm sure will be the case at the end of the season. And even if we do win Europa, I do think just leave on a high and that's it. You go, but to me, I personally, I think as well, he knows himself that he is gone as well. So, especially from previous press conferences recently. So, it just he's giving like the hint as if he knows what's going to happen next.
And I think that's the thing as well. I think I was kind of in the same boat in a sense that I'll just go along with it. Obviously, we're still in Europa. Obviously, still got Frankfurt coming up. But after what he did to the fans, and I know that some people may have taken it to the extreme in terms of, oh, well, he's just expressing himself, etc., etc. But George, for me, it was just, there's no need to do it. And like Christina said, just own up to it in the press conference. Like, done, move on.
Yeah, for sure. I think, I can understand a lot of his comments that he makes towards like the media and stuff like that. I understand because the media in this country can be a bit of a joke when it comes to, hounding managers and players. But in that moment, it's just, he's just got to learn not to bite. And I feel like he has done on multiple occasions. I mean, he did it with Fulham. I don't think it was actually a Spurs fan, but it's happened all too often where, I don't know, he's going down the tunnel, even at Spurs, and someone's saying something to him and he just bites instantly. And I'm like, I understand maybe that's just his personality, but especially when it's in the Premier League and the size of the Premier League and the eyeballs that are on the Premier League, it's going to have a knock-on effect on how he's perceived, on how the club's perceived, and like it just all adds to the media agenda that's going to fuel the next press conference. So I do think he's got to be careful. And it wasn't right. I personally, at the time, I did not also agree with chanting "you don't know what you're doing" and your own manager mid-match. I find that a bit weird, especially when there's only one goal in it. Fair enough, if we had lost and by the end of the game you weren't happy, voice your opinion then. It just felt strange over just a substitute to do that. But you just don't bite back. It's just ridiculous. Like you say, especially with people that spend money going up and down the country for it. And in terms of where I'm at with Ange, again, not to be on the fence, but I'm just so 50-50 at the moment. I've said from the beginning, whoever the manager was that was going to come in, I wanted to give them at least 2 seasons because I feel like 1 season or the 18-month cycle that we've been doing is just not enough. So I want to see what was happening then. Last year, obviously, we tailored off at the end. We still got 5th. I thought the football was great for the most part. So I wanted to give him the chance again. I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt with the injuries to a degree because I think we've seen a massive increase in injuries across the board in the Premier League. And we seem to have our Newcastle moment because last year, I think they had the most with like 12 at one time. And you could really see that how they struggled and they stuck with Howe, and now they've won a trophy. So it goes to show it is possible. And at the time of the injuries, I said, no, we'll wait until we get the players back, just because I want to see, can he turn this around with the full strength squad that we've got? And unfortunately, the same as Christina said there, I've not seen a change in how we play. I'm not seeing the Ange ball, quote unquote, that I liked beforehand. We're not pressing relentlessly and choking the team out. We're not creating a crazy amount of shots that we were before. It almost seems to be that he's just doing this little middle ground of, oh, well, we don't want to get injuries again and we don't want to concede on the break. But then now you're sacrificing the football that made you get to where you got to, which is something he said he would never do. So if he's already sort of contradicted himself, and even Amram said it in his press conference like a couple months ago, as soon as you start changing your way, you know you're done. And that's why I kind of feel like as well, it's sort of like he's just willing to accept that, look, getting injuries doing this way, just see it out. But equally, if, and it's the biggest if ever we do win the Europa League, I don't see how you can sack him. It's impossible. You'd be technically our most successful manager in 40 years.
Yeah, but can you imagine that football in the Champions League?
Bring it! Come on, we'll take on Real Madrid like that.
There is no chance it's going to work out. No chance.
No, I know. I think the reason why I'm kind of caught on the fence with it as well is also to do with the lack of options that we have available. Like, if we can't sack him at this very, very moment because there's literally no one you can bring in for the last 6 games. It would just be Ryan Mason to the end of the season, and I personally don't want that. Players saying in press conferences that they back Ange still, so just leave them to it for now. But in the summer, Iraola, Frank, I like them, but I've got reservations about a lot of them as well. So I don't know. It's just a little bit underwhelming.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. I do not want to see Ryan Mason at the helm again. I've been there, done it. I'm not there for it. But again, it's like it is difficult because we all want to succeed this club, and I feel like at the moment under Ange, that's just not happening. The fact, obviously, in that second half, Christina, it went so flat. Then Saints also scored, and I'm thinking to myself, "Oh my word, no, this can't be happening."
Oh, I thought we're going to do a Spursy here, right here. It was. I did think they were going to score at one point, but no. I mean, it was just, yeah. I mean, I was just glad that we got the other goal from the third goal, and I know it was a penalty, but at least it was just dead and buried the game from then. But I was a bit nervous because our defending around the second half was it was all over the place. I didn't understand what we were doing. It was so slow. There was just no movement on the pitch. And then I could see that goal was coming 100%. But I'm just relieved that we eventually did just get that third goal, and it was just dead and buried. And it would have been so funny for us to actually done a Spurs, because obviously that game, it was, if they lost, they would have been relegated. And I just thought, here we go. That's to have that fact there. We're going to do something and absolutely muck it up and give it to Southampton, because that's what we seem to be doing, making all these poor teams, these lower teams like Barcelona compared to us. So, prime Barcelona, shall I say? But yeah, I was just happy that we got the 3 points. And I mean, I just want the Premier League to be done now. I'm over it. I'm just focusing on the Europa. I know that's what the whole, with all the players on the bench, that was what they were going to be saved for on Thursday. So I'm just more focusing on that now. To me, there's no chance of us actually getting relegated ourselves, I don't think. So, I think we're safe for that. So just get the Europa and just get as far as you possibly can with it. Even though atmosphere is so toxic right now, we've got to, and with the protests, actually, I should mention, I know that a lot of people think with the whole process it's going to bring negativity, but that is not our message as well. We want to be supporting the team as well. We saw that with the Man United game when we actually did the protest. We were absolutely buzzing just to have such a good outcome on the protest, and then we went ahead and got 3 points against Man United. Like, that was probably my favourite game this season, because it was just such a good day in general. And that's what we need to make sure with our message, is that we are there to support the team as well as, with what the club is actually dealing with right now. So
you've got a 100% win record at the moment, so keep it coming.
Maybe that's what it is.
Every home game, keep it coming.
You just go get a process every home game. Fine, let's do it. But yeah, no, it's so important because we do not want to. Because I know the atmosphere has been really poor. I think I don't with you, George, as well. When you go to the games, it's not the same, is it?
It's been dreadful recently.
No one wants to sing. No one wants to be art chanting because that's what happens when the football's so bad. You're not motivated to do things like that. It's really difficult to get people going, and this is what happens. So yeah, just lucky that we got not lucky. Glad that we got the 3 points, and let's move on to Europa because that's the main goal for this season for me.
Yeah, I think so as well. And that kind of leads us on to obviously that game on Thursday against Frankfurt. Now, George, obviously the first one is at home. And obviously for me, I kind of would have preferred it the other way around. But that being said, obviously we've spoken a little bit about the atmosphere and how we need to get behind the boys. And the atmosphere has been quite poor at home recently. But this is a big one. So yeah, well, how do you kind of see this one going down?
Yeah, quickly on the atmosphere, 100%. I think there's something about playing under the floodlights when it's a bit dark. It just hits a little bit different. So I'm hoping that will add a little bit to it. I think as well, like you're saying, especially with like your messaging with change to Spurs, we kind of got to separate how we've been doing versus like supporting the team in that moment. I think it doesn't matter like what you think of Andrew, whether you want him out now or whatever. Like we've got a good chance of doing something in the Europa League at the moment. So everyone that's going to the game on Thursday, I feel like needs to try and come with a lot of energy and really try and back the team because we're going to need it to get a couple goals to go to the away leg because it's going to be tough. Like I said, I would have much preferred it being the other way around because, when you want the home advantage second, especially if it does potentially go to extra time. So if that's not going to happen, then yeah, we're going to need to, do as well as we can in the home game. And it's just simply not going to happen without the home support. How I think it's going to go is so tough to call because it's just one of those ones where I'm just always just thinking about the Tottenham that we can be and like the Tottenham and like we've played Frankfurt a couple of years ago and we've beaten them then, but it's just a totally different game now. They've obviously lost Marmoush this season, but up front they've got Ekatike who's been absolutely banging it in all season, top quality young striker. So I think it's going to be so difficult. I think especially with how flat that Southampton game was, it's not really filling me with a lot of confidence that we're going to blow Frankfurt out of the water. I think that's almost an impossibility. If we were to win, I think it would only be by one goal, and I just don't know if that's going to be enough for the tie. But yeah, I think the main thing for me is just making sure that we can have the support on the day to give us the best chance to get as many goals as possible before we go away next week.
And I think that's the thing, it's pre-planning, isn't it, Christina? Because like we've kind of said already, it's that away leg that actually really stresses me out.
To be honest, it's the goal situation for me because, like George said, I can just see us winning a measly 1-0 at home and then get absolutely battered away. And that's the thing, we haven't really been scoring as much goals, I don't think, this season. And it's always been like a 1-0 or 2-1. It's just not that many goals that we've seen. And that's what I feel like is going to happen. We should be going out there and playing good attacking football and going in for those goals because we have so many opportunities where we actually get so close and then just no one seems to want to shoot. No one seems to get anywhere near the box either, so majority of the time, and then you're just passing it to absolutely nobody. So it's going to be really tough. And Frankfurt are not an easy team either. So we really, really got to, if we want to win it at the end of the day, we just got to go ahead and go for it. But yeah, I've not got much hope, that's for sure.
I think that's the most depressing thing. Obviously, just because of the way we've been playing, and obviously, like Tricky, there is no away goal rule anymore. I don't believe so. Again, although, like I say, it doesn't really matter if they score away goals. It's more the fact that we go into that next game away from home without the crowd behind us, and you're a bit like, oh Jesus, where do we kind of go now? But my other thought is obviously because we saved a few players at the weekend, George, with obviously Mickey van der Ven not making an appearance. That's got to be a must that he starts on Thursday.
Absolutely, we're definitely going to need him back in. As much as I think Davis, when he does come in, especially this season, he has stepped in and done a somewhat decent job. We can't play the way we want to play without Van der Ven out the back because his ability just to carry the ball forward, his pace when they're on the counter and we need someone to come back, it's just something that no one else in the team offers apart from him. Maybe Danzo, but we haven't really seen enough of him yet to really judge him properly. And the only thing that bugged me a little bit about Southampton was I was expecting more rotation, only because I know for a fact he's going to start Sonny on Thursday. And we know what Son's like playing twice in a week, let alone basically having to play 3 times in a week. And I'm a little bit worried that if he starts on Thursday, he's also just going to struggle for fitness, especially when we're going to have to play him the week after as well. So I don't know. It's just Ange's subs have not, in my opinion, been amazing. You leave Intel to 5 minutes before the end. Maddison not playing a couple games in a row earlier in the season, and now he's played 2 in a row and will need to start on Thursday again. So I don't know. I think for me, it's good that we managed to rest some players for sure. I know some got taken off a bit earlier, but I just don't want to get into a situation where we're running players into the ground again coming into the away leg next week. Because if we have any injuries going into that, I think we can sort of kiss the tie goodbye, to be honest.
That's the thing. Ange's substitutions all years really baffled me. And like I say, it's continued with this being potentially his make or break kind of double fixture, Christina. And it's like, you've got to manage these players a bit better, mate.
Yeah, definitely. Just yesterday, I just thought I was really hoping for more rotation, just like George said. I was really surprised just because it's one of those games where we should be winning and we should be able to get most of the players just have a little bit of a run around. Even more, I was hoping to see him yesterday, but I don't know what the issue is. I say that every game pretty much. I don't know why. We're just not playing him as much. And I think he's got such a huge potential, that boy. And he was class when he first came in for the Europa League game. I can't remember who it was against, but he just looked phenomenal. That's it. His sprint was unbelievable what he was doing that game. And I just think that's what we need. This is exciting football. This is where he can turn around and say, are you bloody entertained? Because that was entertaining football. And it's just so frustrating because we've got all these players and they're just sitting on the bench. And they're young. They still, like I said, that Southampton game, you could have done rotations, and for these young boys, great chance for them to just get out there and have a little kick about. But I don't understand sometimes the way Ange does it. I really don't. And obviously the frustration during the Chelsea game, that's ends up with all the fans going against him. But I don't know. I really don't know what to say about it. But it is bloody well frustrating, and I hope to see more of them just with the Europa games. But who knows? Who knows?
Oh, that's the thing. Obviously, it is make or break for Ange in this kind of cup tie. And George, I hate to say it, I don't think it's going to be the case. But if we lose on Thursday, do you think he just goes then, or are we going to keep him for the next tie?
No. It'll be. Well, he will have the Frankfurt fixtures to see how it goes. You can't really sack him after the first game, to then not have a manager for the second one. I can't see that happening at all. But I do think it is a case of, if we get knocked out, I think he gets sacked then, because then at that point, no competitions, we're 16th in the league. I think you're done at that point. But if he goes through, then I think he literally has the Europa League campaign effectively to save his job at Spurs. He effectively needs to win it for him to stay long term. Other than that, I do think Spurs will be looking at bringing in a new manager in the summer.
I think that's kind of the way it will be going. Just because, like we all kind of spoke about tonight, it is so toxic at the moment, and I don't think he's really helped the situation, if I'm being brutally honest. But nevertheless, obviously, that was 3 points on the board. Relegation party for Southampton. I did see a lot of videos of them having a party in the away end of them going down, so they can take that with them. But like I say, it's a win. Hopefully, against Frankfurt, we can also get a win, because we bloody need one. But again, thank you to you guys for joining me tonight. So we'll go around the table and say our goodbyes. So Christina, thank you again for joining me on the show. Where can everybody find you doing your thing?
Pleasure. I'm just on X, and apparently I'm on TikTok with over 1 million views, getting absolutely slaughtered by my work lot with my bloody desk being covered with Arsenal wrapping paper. But that's right.
Honestly, that actually killed me. There's a few of my mates that are sending it to me, and I was like, I know Christina. She's now making it, and all my friends are sending it to me. But no, really appreciate you coming on the show again tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on.
No worries. And George as well, thank you again for coming on. Where can everybody find you doing your thing as well?
No, thank you for having me. And yeah, it's effectively just George Achille across everything. I've got a new YouTube video going up on Friday, I think it is, because obviously we play on Thursday. So it's a part 2 to do all Spurs fans think the same.
Nice.
It's I'll just say it's very, very different to the one we did 2 years ago with Christina. So,
Oh, one of those. Okay.
yeah, maybe not as optimistic as before, but it should be entertaining nonetheless. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Oh, perfect. I'll look out for that one. Like I say, make sure everybody that's watching now or you're rewatching this later, go follow everyone on the channel. Like I say, Hollie's Hotspurs Live will be back next Monday for another episode. You can tell that it's past 8 o'clock now. I'm losing my words. But we'll join you back for that. And there is no Hotspur Huddle this week. Wes has left me for a concert and Nelson's in France. So they're in better kind of steads than doing a Hotspur Huddle this week. So I wish them a fun time away. But obviously, like we always say, and until next time, come on, you Spurs.